This is Tendayi Ganga, CEO and founder of Born to Shine. Hope I find you well. We are here on Set Me Free on Born to Shine inspirational TV shows. And today my special guest is none other than this beautiful lady, Mel. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tendayi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you on this show.
Absolutely excited, yeah.
Yes, Mel, she comes all the way from Zimbabwe.
Yes.
When did you come to Australia?
Oh my God, 2003.
2003, that's
Yes,
a long
that's
time
a long,
ago.
long time, yeah.
Wow. Was it just a decision for you to come here?
It's funny because, I was at Ingucheni, a psych hospital with my friends, lunchtime. We're all sitting at the desk and we're like, everyone is leaving. There was a lot of exodus of, Zim nurses going to, the UK.
Right.
And we were all young families, trying to make it, and the problem was you needed like 20% to actually get a house, deposit it for a house.
Right.
And we couldn't afford that at
That's
that time.
back in Zimbabwe.
That's back in Zimbabwe. And
Right.
we were like, we have nothing to lose.
Mm.
We have young kids. We can get out of here. So that's how we started. And we applied to Australian, what do you call the board?
Nursing board.
Nursing
Yep.
board.
Yes.
And guess what? We were all registered within a month.
Wow. Lucky you.
It was like, whew. And
was
then
just
all
the
of
time.
a sudden, we were all, on different paths looking for sponsors, Edge Care was a big, sponsor at the time. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I found Moran and they sponsored me. I can.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how was life like back in Zimbabwe? If you could tell us more about your life, your family, how you grew up in Zimbabwe.
Oh, okay. I mean, having born on, in the post-colonial era, or rather growing up in the post-colonial era, I found, education was much more, affordable, available for us, and had the privilege, obviously, to, I spent most of my time at a boarding school.
Oh, okay.
So, secondary, and I did my A-level as well, boarding school. And I've had the chance to go through they're all Christian boarding schools. So I've had to experience what it's like to be Salvation Army, Brethren, and I've observed Catholic, and other, places. So yeah, so I think I've seen a lot of that on the education bit, and I really enjoyed growing up in Zimbabwe.
Right.
Yeah.
So were there any challenges with it going from different denominations and being in boarding school? Were there any challenges that came with it?
I guess being a first child in a family of 6, there's always that responsibility,
Yes.
handed down on you as a firstborn. But I think I was, I liked being independent, and I took it easy, when I turned 13, when I went off to a boarding school to start high school. And I've enjoyed every bit of it. I think while I was at boarding school, I learned to do things for myself, make your own bed, balance your own finances.
Yes.
You make your own study time, and, I was a prefect most of the time, so I knew responsibilities of, balancing everyone around as well. So to be honest, I think I was blessed, to experience that, and having Salvation Army was a big thing when I went to Asha High. So the way they worship, the way, they sort of do things is very different from all, other different churches like Brethren, which was Manama, is the last place that I went. So, and, it actually made me realize that actually worshiping is the same thing.
Amen.
No matter which church you go to.
Yes.
And it's just about how people want to relate while they sort of
because we serve
worship.
one God, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting, because that exposure, to different denominations as well, it helps you to mature, to understand, and like we have said, that you were a prefect, which means you had good character, right?
Being responsible, yes.
Okay, so holidays you would go.
I'll go home, and so I've always grown up playing volleyball. It was my best sport, so I always have an excuse every weekend to come and play. And my mom wasn't happy with that, because I was supposed to be away at school, but it shaped me, in many physical ways as well. To say, your physical health is important, as much as, education, doing all the other things that the society expects you to do. We grew up knowing you have to go to church, you have to, be good, you have to do all that. But I think in the olden days, they never took physical exercise as something important.
Like sporting,
you're like, you're wasting time. You should be studying.
You wouldn't get any support.
No. But I'm glad I stuck with it, and I still value physical exercise now.
All right.
Yeah.
So what was your relationship like with your brothers and sisters? You said you were 7? You're 7 in your family?
So we're 6 in the family.
6.
So to break it down, I was, in a mixed family. So I'm the only child in my mom's, from my mom's side. And so my mom and my dad met, I think, when my mom was still pregnant with me.
Okay.
So apparently my dad was caught up in a war somewhere, left, and I don't know, didn't come back. So my father met my mom, and, when you love someone, you just want them in totality.
Yes.
I believe that's what happened with my parents. And
true life,
yes. So I adopted my stepdad's name.
Okay.
So they had 5 more children together. And so I grew up in that family. He was like my dad. Yes. We could never tell anything apart. And then at 15, just a different change that really sort of broke my heart. But so much, not so much just break my heart, but I guess made me realize I was living in a different bubble. I just realized that, I was told that my dad wanted to know me, my real dad. Yes. So I was 15, and you can imagine at 15 you're developing, emotionally, physically, and so it was a hard thing, but I was excited at the same time to know that someone wanted to see me or know me, who was my dad. Yes. So I met him, and I need like the whole other chapter to discuss my emotions, how I went through, and I could see my mom was struggling with that too. But you can imagine how it sort of, changed the whole, mood in the family, like, just realizing that something is different.
You have been gone all these years.
Yes.
And then at 15,
you're told he's not your dad. Yeah.
Wow.
But I've never regretted that moment that I met him. I had a relationship with him in a brief time, just to know him. What I love about knowing my real dad is he was, I think part of my, characteristics are coming from him. He was bubbly. He was a Manyika, by the way. But I don't know. I thought I was in Ndebele.
So you were speaking Ndebele.
So I was speaking Ndebele, even though I'm not fluent in Ndebele. So my stepdad was sort of, so there's all these, influences that sort of made me think, what language do I speak really? Yes. But so apparently he's Manyika, and short and talkative like me. And he loved writing letters to me, while I was at a boarding school. So I value, that moment of having known my dad. And I think everyone else, every child there who doesn't know their dad, I know how they feel, right now. I have a closure. Yes. It was a brief relationship, but at least I got to know him, and I'm at peace with myself. So
that's good, because identity is important.
Yeah,
you need to know your identity. Yeah. You need to know where you come from, and at times parents will hide that, you know, from you because they'll be protecting you and they are not too sure how you will react. And at times you find that some children, they are left until they are adults, and then they get to know that,
Yes.
oh no, this was not maybe your father.
Yes. Sometimes I believe if my dad didn't come out to look for me, I probably wouldn't have met him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if my mom would have told me.
Yeah.
You know, so, but however God made all these things work together, look, I'm
Yes.
really grateful. So,
Thank God.
yeah.
Thank God.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, moving on, from 15 years now that you knew your dad, did you have to change your surname or you kept?
No, I kept his surname.
All right.
So that's what I'm still using right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah.
Then you carried on with your studies. Now you're a nurse.
Yes,
Take us through the journey.
Yes. So finished my nurse training, UBH, for those who have, you know, trained in Zimbabwe. In the group of 1998. God, that sounds too long ago.
Time flies.
Yes. So, and I did my mental health postgrad while I was still in Zimbabwe. And then
Wow.
just while my colleagues were graduating, I was coming to Australia.
Wow.
So I've done most of my nursing in Australia though.
All right.
So
you did mental health. So that's your area, your passion, right?
yes, that is my passion. So I'm actually now in the front line mental health assessments and triage, but I also just finished my nurse practitioner course, but it's more on a generic side.
Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Nurse practitioner.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. So now
Yes.
I can have a holistic, you know, view of, you know, my patients and actually use the best, you know, evidence base, you know, kind of in actually assessing and supporting and treating people. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah, so I can see you as a role model to say that, you know, when we come overseas in such a country, we should not limit ourselves. We can do anything actually through Christ.
Absolutely.
We can pursue our dreams, and you have done so well.
Yes, I think faith is something that I think has really sort of guided me. I mean, it hasn't been easy. I've been obviously single for 6 years. It hasn't been an easy kind of divorce. And I think a lot of people, you know, don't realize, you know, how, you know, separation, parent separation, divorce can have so much effect on your mental health, physical health, as well as the children's.
Yes.
But I think, you know, when you have a base like faith, because I grew up in a Christian family, so my mom used to pull us to church every
And I
Sunday.
guess that exposure helped you as well, because
It
we are
did.
prepared when we are young.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
To face these challenges, and we know where to run to.
Absolutely. So now even when you're faced with all these overwhelming social changes, family changes, you draw on all that kind of support that you only know. And that faith, for me, I think that relationship, personal relationship between myself and God has made me actually feel like I can conquer anything.
And indeed, you can. You are more than a conqueror.
And I couldn't be here, you know, and be able to be strong for my children and be able to finish the course and be able to navigate all this divorce and the effects it has, you know, without actually, you know, one person who really looks after you.
So you need God.
Absolutely.
Wow. So it means there is life beyond divorce.
There
life
is.
Beyond any calamities, any challenges that you
Yes.
face.
Oh my God, absolutely. To be honest, I work in a frontline, you know, mental health, and every day we talk to people who are in crisis, who are facing relationship difficulties, either because maybe the other partner, you know, has mental issues that are, you know, not treated, or they're basically just violent, or, you know, they're just in other, you know, really, really tight situations where it could be better if they were, you know, in a different setting. So, you know, my personal journey in, you know, divorce, separation, and being single is reflected in the patients that I talk to every day. And, you know, and sometimes what I've noticed is those who don't have much, grounding in faith struggle the most.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, we have other, support systems other than, problem solving, like mindfulness, breathing techniques, muscle relaxation, but those are temporary things like band-aids, know. But, I found things like faith, they make you stand solid, stand your ground. It's grounding.
Yes.
And if you have good supportive friends who are also faith-based, and I think we underestimate the power of prayer.
Yes.
And the power of just remaining steadfast. Like I've always said, I don't want to be that Christian who has a cross on the forehead to say, hey, I'm a Christian, this is what I'm doing. I mean, I've always taken myself as a liberal Christian. I want to be a normal human being, live a normal life, do normal things, be vulnerable like any normal human being, but also I know my place where I am, with God, my behavior, my actions, they all center me as a way of saying, I know God and I know things that I can't do and things I can do.
Yes.
But again, I'm not perfect, that I'll make mistakes, but I also want to be forgiven for those mistakes. So I feel like this is how Christianity should view people of all different walks.
Yes. Wow.
In the modern day,
Powerful, powerful. As you can hear from Mel, that she had faith in God, having gone through the darkest moments of her life, going through divorce here in Australia. She had to seek help from God, and here she is. She's standing and she's letting her light shine. As you can see, I didn't know we were going to talk about these darkest moments of her life, and somehow I just put my book to as a reminder that we are the light of the world.
Absolutely.
And at times we face these challenges that seek to dim our light, but we need to rise up and let our light shine.
Absolutely. It's time to let that shine, come through our lives. And I think that's what I live by every day in my life, and I'm grateful.
So how did you support your children through that difficult moment? Because like you rightly said, that when you go through difficult moments in life, they don't just affect us personally, in terms of our spiritual well-being, mental well-being, our health, but we have got children, and they must have been young. How old were they, if you can remember, and how did you support them?
So my oldest, she's 24 in a few months.
Oh, wow.
She was 17 at the time of our separation, and the youngest was about 5.
Wow.
So now, my oldest is nearly 24, like I said, and the youngest is 11, going 12.
Growing up.
So, and so you can imagine the younger one was in kindy, starting school. So, which meant she was at the phase where she was starting to read.
Yes.
So what I remember vividly is when all the hoo-ha-hoo was going on, every evening I would have a book, to read for her. And because then you protect them, and I'll, have her in my bed. You become ultra protective, like a mother hen,
Yes.
And I'll read to her every day, make her sound the letters, and I don't remember how I blocked out everything, and my duty as a mom just came at the forefront.
Wow.
And I just let that be the only thing that my kids and me see and interact with on a day-to-day basis. Wow. And she's a good reader now.
Wow.
How amazing. But the older one was a challenge, because she was the one who was aware of what was going on. As you can see, if you've got older children,
you can't hide anything.
You can't hide anything. They hear everything, and she did, have her way, obviously, seek solace from friends, but then obviously have one time where they, obviously they take to drinking because they think, they're trying to break out as young people, young adults, but also they are also caught up in this disharmony that's happening in the family home, and they're, we know in the family when things like that, they're just seen, but they're not heard.
Yes.
So
Yes.
So that's what I would say my older child experienced, and I could see from her behaviors that she was struggling, you know, and also struggling with the other parent not being available for her when she needed, and her only interaction was with me. And I think my mental health background was helpful because I could see where the behaviors were, the trajectory of the behaviors, and I'll be like, jump in, you know, nah, this is not gonna happen. This is not how you're gonna be. But I learned to be gentle, though. I didn't do it the way we did, you know, our parents did it.
Oh, yes.
Our parents would be like, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah.
I never did that way. I knew I had to bow down to the level of my child and actually talk to them, let them vent, you know, about the situation, how they felt. And believe me, kids are, you know, equally able to do what we can as adults.
Yes.
Talk about all these things. Because I think when you allow them, your relationship with them becomes easier.
That's right.
They tell you every day what they're feeling, and you know how to bring them back into seeing the light, being positive, have hope. But then if you stop them from expressing those things, you're repressing those emotions.
True.
And they're still having that emotional growth. And when that emotional growth is stunted, when they're adults, that's where we see all these behavioral problems.
That's right.
You know?
So as parents, we need to be open with our children. We need to allow them in our space so that that's how we can get to know, understand what's going on. And they'll be able to open up to us.
You know, I used to set up little meetings. And I'll say whenever there's a critical incident, like we do at work, believe me, things you adapt at home.
Yes.
So after a critical incident, I'll sit all my kids there. Yes. And I tried that first, you know, when I still had my ex, but obviously, you know, he didn't understand the value of what I was doing. Yes. But I found every time I applied that technique with my kids now, you know, even when divorced, critical incident, we sit down, we talk about the incident, I talk about how the significance of that incident to her, you know, emotional health, physical health, or, you know, the health of other people around her and us as a family, and express how I feel about that incident, and let her, you know, what you call revisit that incident and explore what was happening, why it happened. You know, does she think she could have done things differently?
Wow.
You know, does she realize the impact that incident is having on me or the legal sister? And then we then start remodeling our values and saying, you know, I'm not going to be judgmental, but we want to bring ourselves together because we are the only unit that we need to support each other, and we need to look out for each other and be sensitive to you know, to what we do and the impact it has on others in the household.
Wow.
And I had to do that 100 times, I tell you. But now, you know, I'm so proud of my girl. She's just moved out of home, starting a new job, and we still talk about these things, and she values, and I can see she's carrying the values that I she learned at home with her.
You have taught them so well.
So I'm really grateful for that. And, you know, I did go to the Anglican church, and it was grounding for me as well because I met really lovely people. It's like a family-oriented church, and, you know, it's anything that calms your brain, or any place or any interaction, social interactions that are forgiving, kind, non-judgmental. It's a very nurturing environment, and I think everyone deserves that.
That's true.
You know, and you're my friend, see, nurturing to always hang out with this sister.
Thank you so much. You know, we are here for each other, and we learn from each other. Like,
absolutely,
getting some key points right here. You know, like when there's a critical issue, we need to sit down. Are we sitting down with our families? Are we having even time to have dinner together?
Exactly.
Is it still happening? You know, it's important. So what other word of advice do you have? Because I'm seeing you have got so much wisdom, and I believe I'll call you again so that we can have part 2 of going deeper in the issues of mental health.
Okay.
Yes, we need to learn more. So any word of advice to parents, to young ones, you know, here in Australia and overseas, it comes with challenges as well as we look after our families. Any maybe one or two words?
Okay, I'll start with children, because my young one is a teenager, you know.
All right.
Teenager, right up before teenager, and it comes with a lot of challenges, you know, emotionally, and they can manipulate you, you know, and they can emotionally manipulate you too.
It's true.
And worse, when you're single, they will use all these other weaknesses that are happening, those vulnerabilities, to, you know, blackmail you or emotionally blackmail you. But I think you have to remember you are the parent, you are in charge, and you have to repeat like a broken record that you are in charge, but be gentle in that approach. We're not going to use the old techniques that our parents used on us. I mean, yeah, that was harsh. But, you know, now what I found is helpful with my young one, I sit down with her and have a serious talk and tell her how I feel about certain things. And I allow her to vent and tell me how she feels about certain things. You'll be so impressed how they are able to bring those emotions out and actually express what they think or what their perception is. They know a lot of these things. They are always on these devices. But believe me, when you have that gentle approach, they do listen and they do bow down to your energy, to your mood. And they may have tantrums, they may have whatever, but they'll go, they'll sleep on it, they'll come back, they'll apologize to you. And say, Mom, I know I was really mean and horrible yesterday, but you know what? And allow kids to do that, and allow them to make mistakes, you know.
It's part of growing.
It's part of growing, you know. And so I believe this is a different tech. Some schools now that I can just pass on to some families maybe who may not know is that my daughter's school has what they call seasons of growth. It was a setup. It was a session set up within the school hours where they invite children from families who have experienced loss, who've experienced maybe divorce, separation, any form of trauma, or anything. And it's like from a DBT point of view. DBT is like dialectical behavioral therapy approach, which is more like, you know, cognitive behavioral, you know, based, where you sort of, there's identification of emotion, you know, negative emotion, and allowing kids to identify a situation that attaches to that negative emotion, but also have the reality of understanding that they are not part of that, you know, situation, and they are not the cause for that situation. So we're trying to, you know, the school is also trying to bring up healthy children who are able to emotionally be healthy, express themselves, but also seek help from adults, you know, in a timely manner. And I've said in this school, you know, end of year kind of thing, lots of good feedback from parents. And I believe every school offers that, whether it's primary or private. You can check with your school. It's called Seasons of Growth. And it's marvelous. And even if you look at it, you know, faith, you find faith in everything we do, even if it may not be labeled that this is because it's a Holy Spirit school, but it doesn't mean that everything is you know, biblical. You know, you're not trying to push and twist everyone into, you know, biblical stuff, but God always manifests himself one way or the other. Even if it's the DBT, it's all the gentleness and the things that they approach, you find them in the Bible. So, but anyway, it's beautiful. Adults, I'll say, let's not raise our kids the way we were raised. You know, this is the first world country. It's different. You know, approaches that were used by our parents were quite punitive, I tell you. When we look at it, you don't answer back. I mean, we still tell our kids not to answer back, but we have to gentle remind them all the time. But we did not need any gentle reminders. It was like a smack. But we develop, I think it's developed good relationship with your children. Even if you're going through divorce, you're single, you're separated, you're ill, whatever is going on in your life, develop that good relationship with your kids. Help find other people who know you. They will not judge you. They understand where you are and how you're going, and they can, be there for you and your kids. Even if it means doing dinners together.
Yes.
Kids actually start realizing, and they mellow into that mood of gentleness, giving.
That's right.
And I think we, in the busy world of shift work and whatnot happening in the diaspora, we forget to actually have family time.
It's true.
And that's where we lose our kids, and we lose each other.
That's right. It's true. So that's why I'm saying we need another session, because I can see she has got full of wisdom. I'm sure you agree with me, right? We are going to have another session. So, Meryl, I want to thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
It has been a blessing to have you on Born to Shine Inspirational Talk Shows. And we always end up saying that, remember, we are born to shine. So let your light shine out there. Don't let anyone or anything to dim your light. So if you would like to be on this show, just contact me, and please subscribe, share with your friends so that we can learn from each other. Remember, iron sharpens iron. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you. Enjoy your day. Catch up later.